Hey everyone, thank you so much for stopping by at the first broadcast, the first talk, the first stage of 2022. So January 1st, 2022. I'm excited that it's here, and I really, there's a sense of sadness for the things that happened in 2021 and 2020, but also there's so many lessons attached to everything that happened especially in 2021, that I can see some sense of gratitude for it. So I'm not really bashing the 2021 year. The discomfort was on purpose. The universe sent us the discomfort in 2021 to really have us focus in 2022. So if you look at it in a different way, then you may actually see that you're not as bothered by what happened in 2021. We experienced loss, so the extreme grief and changes, and there's a lot of different things happening new in everyone's lives. And so it if you want to go towards the negative outlook, then you'll bash it and you'll have a lot of things to say, or you'll embrace the lessons that came from it. The ability to adapt to change should be the main gift that you have implemented in your life during this pandemic. Because I can definitely say that although I have been known to be one that can adapt to change really quickly, I think that I've honed the skill even more, for sure, with the help of the pandemic. Okay, so thank you for stopping by. And if you are over on socials, let me share that with you on Twitter. All right. And that way you guys will know, and then I'll talk about it later. In a retweet, I'll give you a little bit more feedback. So I just want to continue on so that I can continue the broadcast for those who are listening across podcasts. Thank you so much. Thank you for the increase in podcast listens over there on various platforms from Amazon Music. I love the trial that's going on with our podcasting over there. And I think that you all are responsible for increased traffic. YouTube, thank you so much for increased traffic. Apple Podcast, thank you for increased traffic. Wisdom, thank you for being able to record the talks and then being able to convert and then share the talks in the platforms that I have for the podcast. And that has made life easier versus going to different platforms and recording. So I was able to get my hands on a converter, and it's made it so much easier. I'm not really one to edit out the bloopers. I think the bloopers make or break me. So I kind of leave my bloopers in my podcast. So it creates a lot of emails from people who say, hey, here, I can charge you thousands of dollars to edit. Sorry about that pause right there. So I need merchandise. And if I don't have that, um, then I am going to, I'm going to tell my son that I'm calling them back. He's a police officer. If he calls, I really want to stop everything I'm doing and take the call. But if he calls me, then that's always a good thing, right? So anyway, um, so with that being said, I wanted to focus on something that I'm doing in the office, and they were saying, well, what's the message for 2022? And I have on our board, I have guard your energy. And it took that just posting that alone created the need to add a conversation to really break that down, right? So, what I'm saying when I say guard your energy, because often you'll see me post that on socials, or you'll see me, if you're in an atmosphere where I'm actually at here in Colorado, then you may hear me say it often when different things happen and I see people losing control of their energy. Not because I think I'm perfect, call a thing a thing. I am not perfect, but what I have learned is when I see things that come along that look like they are one thing, like it may really look like this is an argument with the lady on aisle 10 in the grocery store. But really, it's a test of your ability to guard your energy and know when to show up and for what arguments to show up. And those tests will continue over the years until you really get a grip on it. And this is just speaking from experience, right? So when I say guard your energy, I want you to be real careful about the positive energy, and I want you to block the negative energy. So the type of person that I am, I'm a giver and I'm a helper and I am an extender of my timer. That's a thing. So I'm always helping people and always giving more of my time and bringing more to the table than those surrounded on the project often or in my direct environment. And that's a fault. That's something a flaw. That's something that I need to work on, right? So it can be easy to say yes all the time, but in guarding my energy, I have to turn down some things. I have to say no to some things. I have to not take on some projects. That's guarding my energy as well, especially when you're a giver. A giver has to guard her energy and be very happy when you see the extra dollars in your bank account. So a giver has to say, you know what? As much as I want to help you out with that, you're calling me and you say, okay, well, this is my light bill, or this is my water bill, or this, whatever, but you're aware of it. Because I've been in a situation where I've had to borrow before and I'm aware of the bill. So I like to tell people ahead of time. That way, learning the lessons of not being last minute and not having planned for it, right? So, and guarding your energy as a giver, a part of that is definitely saying, I can't help you with that. Especially when you see that the individual had a way of doing better and they didn't, you may have to say no. So guarding our energy and our giving is important. And guarding positive energy, right? So and guarding that the people like to come strip you of that energy. People like to come and take from the good that you have surrounding you and the good that you put out, and you're on a natural high and happy all the time and you're optimistic. The manipulators and the players and the evildoers will try to come strip you of that. Those are allowed distractions, and we have the free will, as we talked about in the previous podcast. We have the free will to not, to show up at where we need to show up at when it comes. I hate to say arguments because I want the pandemic and the racism and the protests and everything created so many arguments that we need to even get out of that. We need to learn how to have uncomfortable discussions, right? So we need to get out of thinking that it's a debate or an argument meant to come out with some negative outcome for one or the other. It needs to be more of a lesson and a conversation and learning and growing and accepting and being willing to listen, process, where two people can walk away with something from it, right? So guarding your energy just comes as being able to balance it and know being aware of the energy around you and feel it, because I'm now so aware I can feel it. I can feel it if I'm in a store or a restaurant or anything. I can feel it and I begin to guard it, and I will shorten my time sometimes. If you see me at a particular event and you see me shorten the time, sometimes I'm guarding my energy from something negative that may have entered the environment. So you'll see me do my cordial exit because that's what's good for me, right? To further me and to get me to my next level. But you need to block the negative energy. You have to put a lot of work in to making sure that you're blocking the negative energy and being willing to accept that the negative energy may be coming from people that you love. And you have to be willing to say, I am no longer willing to have that type of energy around me, and call it negative, and they're going to argue with you, or they're going to throw an argument back at you, and then you're going to guard your positive energy and not fall for it. But they're going to try to come at you and say, I'm not being negative. That's their lesson. That's their journey. That's their path to figure out why you feel it's negative. Your next position is to distance yourself from it. And oftentimes you may have to move, you may have to relocate, you may have to change the things that you do socially. You may have to change the community activities that you're a part of. You know how to guard your positive energy and block negative energy. And you're going to have to learn how to call a thing and do so without an argument. And be confident in your yes and confident in your no. No explanations behind your no unless you feel that someone really needs one. Right? So you have the free will and the power to allow things in your environment and deny things in your environment. It's your environment. It was gifted to you. That little halo surrounding you is your space. And you decide who gets to be a part of that space. You decide. And if constant negative energy is a part of that space, then you're making the decision to allow it. Why complain about it if you're not going to put some reasonable demands out to say this is what has to happen because I can't be a part of this anymore? Now, you don't show up at the event and say, I can't do this no more. You drove all the way over there to put a scene on. You don't need to do that. It's like going all the way to Facebook to say, I'm turning Facebook off for 20 months. You don't need to do that. Just turn it off. So if you drive all the way over there, then you invited it into your life. But if they're trying to come to where you are and you're having to say no, you're blocking the negative energy, right? And just find a pattern, find a process, and we're going to talk more about it because guarding the energy will be the conversation to start the year. So we're going to come back and say some more great things about it. Open microphone for a few seconds. You can talk as long as you need. If you need to have a conversation or you want to. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate the love. Daniel, you're awesome. So if anybody wants to share with my listeners, they're coming from different platforms when I share this on my podcast. If you want to share, please do. If you have a good point that they need to hear on that, it's not overnight. It's everything that you are going to learn about being careful about your energy. Be gentle with yourself and learn from the times when you slip and you are around people that you know you shouldn't be around, or learn from the times when you allow negative in your environment because you love that person so much and you're just going to keep on letting them do whatever there is and that they're doing that's negative, and you're not going to say anything about it. Learn from that. Get help for that. Reach out to all the resources that are out there and available. It's important that you take care of you in 2022. Wait a minute. That's a t-shirt. Okay, it's important that you take care of you in 2022, okay? All right, thank you so much for coming by. Socials, shout out to you. Listeners, shout out to you. Audience on Wisdom, shout out to you, Wisdom. Thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts for today. And I will come back. And again, we're going to make a habit of keeping them short and sweet so that we can guard my time, right? 40-hour work weeks and then making time for, and I also switched environments for my Wisdom listeners. And I'm now at the law firm. And it definitely, yeah, everyone says this is where you're supposed to be. And I'm glad to be a part of that journey, but I want to guard my energy and make sure that I'm giving myself enough sleep time and meditation time and quiet time to be there 100% at the law firm, as well as making sure that I'm 100% giving time on a weekly basis to the podcast, the stages, and the talks. Balancing all those things. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming by. I am Dee Shields across socials. Follow me. You can also find the books over on Amazon. You can find the books on Barnes and Noble. It's in different places, Goodreads, wherever you like to download your books from. Or you can purchase them if you go to Barnes and Noble, request it, and it'll deliver within a few days. You can do so at the front desk. Thank you so much. I am Dee Shields across social media. I appreciate all of you.